Insightful, engaging, dynamic, authentic, empowering, informative, transformative, controversial, unbiased, impactful. This is Politics Aside with Release Brooks. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Politics Aside. Today we're continuing with our International Women's Month series, and our guest for today is Carina Blache. Did I get that right?
You did.
Okay.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Okay, so this energy is a bit too much for the cameras, but tell us about yourself. Okay, let me start. So I don't know you at all. I only know you in person because we're both students of LawPac. But apart from that, our friend, Malachi, briefly told me about an initiative you two were planning. And bigger than that, how I was attracted to invite you is from seeing GRENSAC. So you are the president of the Grenada Students Association at UWI Cave Hill. And in my opinion, GRENSAC is probably, seems to be the most active and influential student body on campus. And so when I saw that, and then I started paying attention to you, just how you move, how you do things. And I'm like, okay, this is a clear leader, who inspire and empower others. And just how you rally around your team and association. I love to see that energy. So tell us about yourself. Tell us about your role as president of GRENSAC.
Okay, sure. So, as already stated, my name is Carina Blache, and I am a Grenadian, a proud Grenadian. I hail from the parish of St. Andrew. I attended the St. Andrew's Anglican Secondary School, and I've always been a part of student life. So I've been heavily involved. I've debated for my school for 4 consecutive years. I've been on the netball team. I've been a part of the young leaders, the junior achievers, the girl guides. So I've had experience in student leadership, and co-curricular activities it's part of me by now. I would have graduated as valedictorian at my secondary school. And when I went on to community college, which is the T.A. Marshall Community College, I also graduated as valedictorian there. I also debated at the Windward Island debating competitions in 2019 and 2020. We won in 2019 and we came second in 2020. I was also the chairman of the Constitution and Rules Committee as part of the Student Representative Council. So I started my journey at the UWI Cave Hill. And during my first year, as soon as I got there, I was roped into the Grenada Students Association. My first year, I served as the cultural entertainment and activities chairperson. And then I was also a member of the publications committee within the Law Society, as well as the entertainment committee within the Law Society. I was a part of the debate society. So, I just kept it business as usual. Just that's how I used to do it back home. I came here with that same energy and goal in mind that I had to be a part of co-curricular activities. So following that first tenure, the election season came around and everyone was like, you should go up for GRENSAC's president. And I was like, guys, I don't know. It seems like a big role. But I prayed about it. I spoke to my family about it. I spoke to my friends about it. And they were like, yeah, we don't see a better person for the job. So I decided to take the step and I won the elections and we're here. So Grenada is a very small country, right? And throughout my experience at Cave Hill, every time I speak, somebody would ask, which part of Trinidad you're from? And I'm like, I'm not from Trinidad, guys. And then we would go into this guessing game. I would say, try to figure out where I'm from. And they would call St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Dominica, Antigua, St. Kitts. And then they will leave out Grenada. So I had to say, okay, guys, I'm from Grenada. This is it. So from the time I noticed that we were a very small, we
Mm-hmm.
were a very small portion of the UE cable community, that sparked something inside me to put our association more out there so that persons can know more about us. They can be able to identify us when we speak. I think that the 2023 to 2024 executive team also did an amazing job. We started a lot of initiatives. And so it was my goal to actually just continue along that and improve on what we've built. And so that as much as possible throughout my tenure as president, that is what I tried to do. We tried to focus a lot on culture and education. And the support that we've received from the cable community is honestly just overwhelming. I really appreciate it. It would not have been possible without my Keyville family. The Grenada Students Association and the St. Kitts Nevis Students Association, SKINSA, was supposed to have a shared week of events this semester. And the first initiative that we wanted to have was something educational, something that engages our members on a deeper intellectual level. And so we decided that we wanted to do either a panel discussion or a podcast. And that's where Malachi raised the idea that we can use your platform, Politics Aside, to do this. And it doesn't have to be just the executive members. We can extend it beyond our membership so that general members of GRENSAC as well as general members of SKINSA could be a part of this discussion. Unfortunately, we didn't get around to it, but still being a part of this podcast today, I am truly grateful, and a part of me is doing this specifically for him.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much as well. That's amazing. Based on what you've shared, you've been in student leadership um for most of your life. What lessons have you learned so far?
The first one I would say is being in service is about selflessness and sacrifice. Um, Being a part of service is something that you need to have a passion for, something that you actually have to like. You can't just put yourself up for service for it to be something on paper, something to be on your CV or on your resume. You actually have to have a passion and a drive. You have to have goals both for yourself and for the wider association or membership that you're serving. That is the first thing, because if you go into the role, oh, I just want to have this position just so I could have it on my CV, then everything from there on out feels like a chore. It feels like, oh my God, GRENSAC again. But if you actually have a passion for what you're doing and you really want to take things to a higher height, then it would be fun. It would be an enjoyable experience. The second takeaway is that student leadership is a learning experience. You won't go into the role knowing every single thing. But once you have a willing mindset and you're willing to learn, the process becomes so much more enjoyable. So for me, even as CAC, the cultural officer, sometimes when we wanted to raise awareness about certain things or certain cultural aspects about Grenada, I had to go and do research because yes, we probably a part of it, we see it all the time. But sometimes you never really think about, okay, what is the historical meaning behind this? If I have to explain this to someone, what do I say? How do I explain it? So it takes a lot of research. Um, so it's a learning experience. And the third takeaway is that you shouldn't be afraid to lean on others for support. Don't be afraid to delegate. You can't do everything by yourself. Sometimes you might feel like I'm really the best person for this job, but sometimes you're really not. And you have to be able to identify your strengths and your weaknesses, as well as the strengths and weaknesses of your membership, so that you can know if we're planning, um, let's say we're planning a talent show, who is the best person to do logistics? who is the best person to do flyers, who is the best person to do XYZ. Um, and so one of the things that we would have done regularly as part of our, or under my tenure, is that we had regular SWOT analysis meetings. So firstly, we evaluated ourselves to identify what are the things we're good at, what are the things we're not good at, what can we improve. And then
Mhm.
after every event, we would do a SWOT analysis so that we can evaluate our performance individually and as a team so that we know how best we can work going forward. So if this time you were responsible for one particular thing, but you don't think, well, I didn't really do good in this part. Maybe next time I could do something else to see how best we can pool our resources and pool our skills. So that would be my main three takeaways from being in student leadership.
I think you're ready to lead Grenada, you know. No, those are really amazing lessons. I mean, and then the SWOT analysis. So frequently, the ability to tell yourself, okay, I'm actually not the best person for this job. You know, I'm good, but there is better. Really, really amazing qualities to have. I'm really proud of you. I'm really proud of the work that you've done and that you continue to do. But you're also a law student
Yes.
in second year.
Yeah.
And if we know anything about you, God, you know, second year. So, how do you do it? I mean, first of all, your skin stays amazing. You know, so I'm just wondering, like, how do you do it? How do you keep it together?
To be honest, I can only say it's really and truly just God.
Mm,
Because sometimes I myself wondering, well, how when I look back, okay, so firstly, second year is known as the most difficult year for law students. It's the fact that one, this is when your GPA and grades actually start to matter. And two, the courses that we do are very content heavy and case heavy. So it's a lot. The structure of the very courses that we're doing, it's a lot. So second year is really, really rough. And coming into this role, this was something that the previous president would have, advised me about. So I knew from the start that I was coming into a very uphill battle.
mm,
Um, so what I started to do was trying to manage my time. I know it sounds cliche, but time management is really, really, really important. And that is where you start to force yourself to have discipline. So what I will do is start off by doing a to-do list, trying to prioritize things and trying to mix it up a bit. So if I say, okay, I'm dedicating 5 hours towards my schoolwork and then probably 2 hours for GRENSAC, I do my schoolwork first and then I go through doing GRENSAC things. Again, a very important part of that would be delegation because I cannot do everything by myself. So I would take some time, plan out what needs to be done, when we need to do it by, and then we have regular executive meetings so that we know, okay, you're in charge of putting together this event or you're in charge of doing the flyers. We're having this event, we have to get refreshments. You would do the shopping, you would do the preparation of food, we would do the background logistics and stuff. So time management and delegation is the two main things that has been keeping me together. And then of course discipline, because you need to
mm.
know when it's time to cut off, when it's time to move on, when it's time to come back. Um, and yeah, I must say it has been a very tiring experience. But when you love what you do,
Yeah.
you make the sacrifices and you do it. But sometimes people would ask me, like, we don't have the same 24 hours in a day because you're doing so much. And but
Yeah.
once you pray about it, you have the discipline and you try to manage your time as best as possible, then things would somewhat fall in line. And then everything is also a balance. So you can't just be working, working, working. You have to allow yourself a time to unwind, relax, recuperate. and then get going again. So rest is very important. There are some days where I work so hard and then it's like I wake up one day and I just feel very unproductive. And I will start to say, I feel like I'm wasting the day. There's some sort of reading that I could be doing to catch up on schoolwork. But then other times I would think about it and I would say, no, I need to pause. I need to do something, just to keep my mental going.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can regroup and go again. So balance, time
Yes.
management, discipline, God, and delegation.
I mean, amazing. I love it. I love it. In a part of your bio, your key motto is, I think, do good and expect nothing. Why?
Yes.
Why is that your motto?
Because I know in my experience, there are some persons who come into roles just for recognition so that they could say, oh, I was the president, or I was this, I was that. I was the one who secured this particular sponsorship, or I was the one who gave this idea for this particular activity. And while that is all well and good because everyone deserves acknowledgement for their work, to me, it's like if I do something and nobody compliments me on it, or I don't feel any particular way, as long as it appears that persons enjoyed the activity, or there was some form of benefit coming out of it, then that is good enough for me to know that I had a purpose, I had a plan, we executed, we achieved it. And you don't necessarily need any formal recognition, you don't need anybody to give you some award for what you've done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and in truth and in fact, it also helps you to remain focused on the goal. Because if you do things with the intention or with the end goal to be that at the end of this, people would remember me as being the person who did this particular thing. Sometimes your goal shifts from the actual event or what is the purpose behind this particular thing to trying to please persons or trying to impress others. So to me, I have a goal, I plan, we execute, and at the end of it, you know, that's just what it is. So I am
Yeah.
do good and expect nothing. You
Expect
just do it
nothing.
because it's part of you, it's what you value, and not
Mm-hmm.
because you want any praises or anything for it.
Right. That's a very powerful motto. It's actually impressive, especially at this stage. And I wish we could get into it, but what are you looking forward to most after law school, after Cave Hill, after Hewarden or Norman Manley? What do you expect of yourself?
Okay, so after law school, I hope and pray to God that I would be a successful attorney. While I must admit that I am not 100% sure on which area of law I would like to specialize in as yet. At some point, I would like to specialize. So the
Okay.
goal is essentially to start off working probably with other renowned lawyers, attorneys in Grenada. So get that starting foundation, that base. You get a little practical experience. You learn from senior attorneys because sometimes we know that whatever you learn in school is not always what is actually practiced. So, once you get that base, that foundation, then I would like to branch off to specialize. So, I would like to do my master's in a particular area. And then after that, I would like to open my own law firm. Um, and yeah, just try
Yeah.
and continue to promote justice in various areas. Not in criminal law, though. I don't want to, yeah. But anything else? Yeah.
Okay, I have my thoughts about criminal law, but we're not going to discuss. But you know what? All of those things are going to happen, for you and more. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And now we're on this journey together, so to speak. We're wrapping up this interview, but I have one last question for you.
Sure.
The theme for International Women's Day 2025 was for all girls and women. Yeah, for all women and girls, rights, equality, and empowerment. Does this theme mean anything to you?
Yes. Can you put it up on the screen one more time?
Sure.
For all women and girls, rights, equality, and empowerment. Yes. So over the past couple months, I've been a part of several panel discussions, both in my capacity, well, for hosting and being a part of the panel. And these were topical issues that were raised quite frequently. Empowerment is important, right? Because another favorite quote that I've come to appreciate in the past couple months is to take up space. As women and girls, we know historically we've been marginalized. We've had to fight for what we have now. We still have a long fight to go for the things that we really want. Um, and sometimes it may seem like a futile battle. It's like every couple months, every year, we have the same panel discussions.
Mhm.
But as time progresses, you feel like there's no real progress. And so morale can be decreasing. So I think that empowerment, especially, is a very important aspect. We as young women and girls need to learn how to take up space. We need to learn how to inspire others. We need to learn how to aspire for greater things for not only ourselves, but for everyone else around us.
Mhm.
Equality, I don't know if we would ever achieve it, but you know, it's still something that we need to work towards, because those who've gone before us and achieved some form of equality in certain areas, or who has made certain progress, if they had just decided to sit and do nothing, then some of the rights that we have today, so something as simple as the right to education,
Mhm.
we would not be in this position. We probably won't even be having this podcast right
Yeah.
now. So we really need to continue, take up the mantle, keep it pushing. It may seem small, but I feel like everyone can do something within their own capacity until such time that we can band together and really, really, really make a significant impact. So I
Mhm.
think that this year's theme was very inspiring, it was very impactful, and I really do hope that it resonated well with not only the girls and women, but also the policy makers, the other stakeholders. And I hope that they too can join the conversation. So it's not just women fighting for women, but it's women and men fighting for women's rights, women's education, women empowerment.
I mean, you're amazing. That was such a beautiful, articulated response. I love it. And thank you so much for that. And I've heard too, everybody is saying take up space, hashtag take up space. But I tend to add something. I tend to say don't just take up space, but leave that space better than
You
you
left
left
it.
it.
Yes.
Absolutely. Because as you said, people been taking up space, having the same conversations over and over, but we definitely need to make an impact. Carina, thank you so much. It was amazing having you here today. I enjoyed our conversation thoroughly. I know we'll be having more conversations and I know we'll
Yes.
be doing lots of work together. And I'm really excited, really excited.
Thank you so much for having me. I too had an amazing time here this morning, and have a great rest of your day. And
You
by
too.
extension, a good week.
You too. Ciao.